everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday night. Gosh, where is the week going? It's beautiful weather here, almost definitely spring-like, and so hopefully it's nice weather where you are too. Sorry, just trying to get comments. I don't know, my Mac is doing weird things. So I try to move screens from one to the other. All right, hopefully that has it now. All right, so yes, it's a beautiful, lovely day here. Although I've been in my craft design work with some of the new products in the catalog, and yeah, it's been lots of fun. So tonight I am going to do a one-sheet wonder. And so this is some of the one-sheet wonders you actually do, you do some cutting of designer series paper and use that. I've done another one where I made a whole bunch of, I call it stripy cardstock, using strips of cardstock and then cutting that up. This one is one of the stamped one-sheet wonders, and I know there's another name for it. I want to say crisscross. It's not exactly that, but it's where you actually stamp kind of down the center both directions and then kind of around those edges, and then cut the basic white or whatever color you're using, and it's kind of a single layer card, which is really cool. And I realized I really am going to do single layer because I didn't even grab any embellishments, which I think I will grab because you can't make a card without embellishments. And I'm going to use another sneak peek, which I've used before, called Impressions of Bloom. I love this one. It is one of the online exclusives that will be available starting on May 6th. All right, let's switch over and get started. So this is the Impressions of Bloom stamp set. Some sentiments on it, and then of course flowers. It's two-step stamping, so you can use both of the. So the first thing you're going to do is I am going to stamp. Let's see if I can move this up ever so slightly so you can actually see it. There we go. Hopefully that's right. So I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and then the first thing we're going to do is, so this is 8.5 by 11, and we're going to score it at 5.5. It doesn't have to be a really deep score line. Down this, across this, and maybe a little bit more to fill in, kind of making a cross with my stamping. So I didn't get blocks out like I meant to. So there's a lot of stamps in this particular suite, or this bundle. So we'll get most of them out probably because we need to fill in. It's a bit like a collage where we're kind of filling in the blanks when we can. Okay, and so now we need some of the leaves. I probably should have grabbed some blocks from my other stash of blocks. Okay, well, let's do this. Getting there. All right, so that's that. One more. Okay, I think I have all of the stamps that I need. I will need some sentiments in a minute. So I'm going to start with my daffodil, or not daffodil. I see yellow and I think daffodil. I'm going to start with my Darling Duckling. So it's a really pretty, I have sound, but I don't know. Can you hear me now? Let me see. I am just going to check my Facebook. So I'm going to go back here. Hey Connie, can you hear me? Can you give me the thumb? And now I'm worried that nobody can. Okay, I'm back now. Oh good, all right, thank you. Not sure what that was all about. Were you Okay, let's go back. Hopefully it wasn't that way the whole time. Okay, so I've got all mine. So this is the Darling Duckling color that I'm going to use, and I'm going to start with it. And I need a scrap piece of paper. So we'll use my sketch from last night because I'm going to do some two-step stamping. So I'm going to start with my largest flower. Perfect. Hey, Catherine. And I'm going to stamp off, and I'm going to start kind of right, I won't say right in the center, but kind of just above the center mark. And I'm just kind of stamping. I'm going to say somewhat randomly, but I'm going to, I don't know if there is any method to my madness, but I am just kind of covering over some of the lines and on some of the lines. And then this one's going to be full strength. Okay, so when you're lining these up, let me see if that, when you're lining your, let's get that out of the way. When you're lining to stamp on this, there is this one petal that is longer than the others. And on the detailed one, there is the long detailed petal as well. And so that's kind of what you can use to line up like that. And if you're not perfect, and that one not so much, but that's okay. All right, so I've got the start of this lined up. And then I'm going to bring in, let's see how dark my basic gray. This might be really dark. I don't use basic gray very much. So I'm gonna, okay, so definitely stamping this one off. And again, just filling in some of the spaces along those score lines. We have leaves as well, and so that will help us fill in the gaps. My video keeps pausing. Oh gosh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why. I'm not actually doing anything, as in anything else. Okay, so, and then now I can take my other. So again, for this one, there are these, let's see, there's on this stamp as well. It's kind of hard to see. You can use those to do the lining up. So I'm just going to use this one as my test. Yep. The Darling Duckling and the basic gray is really pretty. Could have been smoky slate, I guess. Is everybody having the issue with my video pausing? All right. So the next one I'm going to do again in Daffodil Delight. So these are the little tiny flowers. And I'm going to do these full strength. And then I'm going to use basic gray on the inside of these ones. Freezes briefly. Okay, weird. Must be something with my internet going on with TELUS. The one thing to note about this is you can always go back in after you've done your kind of cut this, because we're going to cut this into 4 pieces, and you can always go in and do more stamping at the basic gray. So let's find one of these stamps and figure out which way which way. I have to think about which way this is. Maybe. Okay, I think it's this way. So you can always stamp off on your grid paper, but I think I've got this. I think I am going to stamp off because this is quite dark. For some of them. How about that? Since I'm not remembering to stamp off, we'll stamp off on some and not on others. So the cool part about this is you can actually do some of this. You could make these in advance. Oh, no, you're welcome. No worries, Holly. It looks like I may be having some issues with my video and maybe my sound. So I'm going to use this one that is a kind of a detailed leaf. And I'm using Lost Lagoon because I just thought it's a kind of a pretty color with the darling duckling. I don't know, sometimes I think this looks kind of like a hot mess as you're actually doing the stamping, but it's quite amazing as it comes together. At least that's my finger. My fingers are crossed. Maybe my toes with this one as well. Oh, and I know what I need to do. My flowers have no centers to them, so we'll definitely add some centers. All right, I think I've got enough. And now I'm going to add Darling Duckling to the centers. All right, that's those centers. And we're going to use Darling Duckling for the centers of our other flowers as well. There's actually 2 different sizes of centers. And no doubt by the time I finish this, I will have forgotten a center. This is so easy to do. It just takes a little bit of time. But like I said, it looks like a hot mess as you're doing it. There we go. So we've kind of got everything done. I'm going to leave my stamps and my ink pads open because first of all I have to do the sentiments, and secondly I probably will have to do some filling in. So if I bring in my paper trimmer, I'm now going to cut this again on those score lines. So it's going to be cut at 5.5, and then each of these at 4 1/4. Like that. So we end up on our first cut with four pieces, and I can already see that this one's looking like it might need a little bit more stamping. Some of these actually probably, like those two, I think are okay, and maybe these two need a little bit more stamping to them. I am going to trim them to be 4 inches by 5 1/4, but let's just add a couple of additional stamps. So I did that wasn't what I meant to do. All right, gotta find that one. I'm gonna go back over there. You kind of missed, you kind of got some gaps. And of course, all right, well, we're just gonna hope that lines up not too badly, which it didn't. Like that. Oh, I stamped that in. Not in a color I expected to stamp that in. That's in basic gray. That's what happens when you're not watching what you're doing. The Lost Lagoon. There we go. Okay. So that's that and that. That's that one. Which other one did I say? Maybe this one. Let's add some. Big flower. And a big flower. Okay, I think I'm good. Let's close. Not that one. Okay, I do. All right, like I said, I'm going to trim these. Oh, now my video has. Oh dear, what is going on? I have no picture, but I've got sound. Okay, well, I'm trying to get what is going on with things tonight. I'm waiting for this to connect to all of a sudden my phone that I use as my camera has shut down. Okay, well, it's seeming to not want to connect. All right, that seems to have connected again, hopefully. Gosh, technology tonight. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these to be, these pieces that I cut to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. You could trim them to being smaller if you wanted to. And basically what I do is I just kind of take and cut off where I'm not going to cut off too much of the stamped images. I will cut a little bit off, but when I'm going to cut away from the bulk of the stamped images. It's always fun to actually see what you end up with. Like I said, it looks like a mess when you're doing it. At least I always think it does. But I got one piece that still needs to be cut. I'm going to cut off the bottom. There's no rhyme nor reason, and you could actually cut these to be smaller if. Because if not, I probably will just stop the video and I will post the pictures when they're of the cards when they're done. If somebody can let me, Connie, the last I see, Connie, you said that there was no picture, but the sound. So if you can tell me if you've got the picture back. Okay, I'm not. Okay, I am back. Okay, I don't know what's going on tonight. Okay, so I pulled out, I've got card bases that are both in basic gray and darling duckling, and then I've got the first layers that I'm going to do alternating like that, and so we'll just. Okay, some of these still need to be cut. These need to be cut to be 3 3/4 by 5, since I have that layer already. So this needs to be 3 3/4 by 5. Should have cut them all off at the same time, but I forgot that I had that layer already cut. And if I had cut them a 1/2 inch strip off instead of the way I did it with a 1/4 inch strip, I could have saved those little bits that I cut off for the inside of the card. But that little 1/4 inch probably isn't going to do much on the inside of the card. Okay, I think I'm good now. So these are going to layer, and I'm going to pick the one, so that one's got quite a bit of gray on it, so we'll put that on there. That one's got lots of gray, this one. So you can just play around and see which ones, and they don't all have to be landscape cards. So some of them lead kind of, actually, yeah, so I've cut them 5.5 by 8.5, so I could do them any way I want to, so that these are all kind of calling out to me. This one I think will be a landscape card, like that, and probably that one. So I'll do 2 landscape and 2 portrait, and I'm going to use the basic gray for the sentiment, and I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to put stamp thanks on them because I always need thank you cards. So you can just put that sentiment wherever you think it goes best, just making sure that you remember if it's going to be portrait or landscape. And I think I have these right, and if I don't, that's okay. It's going to be determined by the way I stamped my sentiment. Pin out to unclog my glue. It is nice font for sure in this one. There is the I appreciate you is the same font as the thanks. I love it when you can make 4 cards all at once. This one's got a few little splodges on it, but that's a perfect opportunity for a sentiment to go over my splodges. I don't know, I already have a favorite. I don't know if you guys do. It's funny how they're all done really the same, but one of them kind of speaks out to me. I'm not sure why. This last one. This one I for some reason really calls out to me. Okay, so I do need to score my cardstock, and then we're just about done. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, so they get scored at 4 1/4. You can almost do these as an assembly line. You could make a whole bunch of backgrounds. Say if you were doing, I hate to use the C word, Christmas, but if you were making Christmas cards, you could do these kind of as an assembly line. Do all of your backgrounds all at once, and then you can just cut and layer. I know, we haven't even got to summer yet, and I'm thinking about Christmas. That's very bad. Okay, this one's going to be landscape. Let's go get the thanks going in the right direction. All right, who put their order in? Did anybody put an order in and take advantage of free shipping? So if you order $100 or more today, tomorrow, or Friday, it's free shipping, which is amazing because you save 11% right off the top. All right, last one. Now, I did grab the, oh, you did, yay, Connie. These are the flat in color flat pearls, and they are all in all of the in colors. If you look closely, you can see which is my favorite color that I have used. Just about all of them. On these 2 sheets, I've used all of the Timid Tiger. So we will use the Darling duckling pearls on these cards, since it seems to go nicely. I have to watch where I have little splodges. I want to, like right there, is going to get covered up by one of those little pearls until Friday. All right. Oops, where's my last little one? Okay, now I do have ones for the inside of the card. I don't know what I'm going to stamp on it yet, so I will. What is the stamp set? This stamp set is called Impressions A Bloom, and it will be available starting on May 6th as an online exclusive. All right, I will finish these cards just because I've taken a fair amount of time as I was trying to sort out technical difficulties. But there you go, 4 sets of cards, quick and easy, and I think they're really pretty. Yeah, I'd love to get one of these in the mail. So if you wanted to, you could put some Wink of Stella on there to just make them shimmer a bit, or you can just send them out exactly the way they are. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now I'll be back on Saturday at 11 a.m. with a card or a project for you. And so hopefully you can join me then. And also I'll be live on Sunday at 12 noon. Until then, don't forget to take advantage of the free shipping. Also, if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, there is a 75% off sale on Paper Pumpkin kits and other things. So if you are a subscriber, make sure you check those out because it's a great deal. All right. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Sorry for the technology